Gonna talk about the third 300th YCS. That data took a little bit of time to get. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. So Guadalajara was the last of the 300th YCSs, and data took a little bit of time to come out for this, but I still wanted to talk about this because I thought it was pretty interesting to see, how the metas stacked up against each other. Now this one, we did have two Radiant Typhoon lists, one of which was playing Fiend Smith. Now that was something we also saw it to the European side where they were using the Fiend Smith package kind of as like a consolidation helper to get to the Wave King Kaiser to kind of build a field, which was nice. We also had double the Draco tail. We also had Vanquish Soul, Yummy. We also had Malice. Malice did not miss out this weekend. Malice got top 4 in Guadalajara, which is kind of nice. And we also had Pure Branded kind of bringing up the rear. So, I mean, like, everything for this event was pretty strong. Also, Vanquish Soul ended up winning this event, which was pretty interesting when you think about how this meta was kind of structured. Now, Vanquish Soul was won by Esteban here. And Vanquish Soul, I mean, there's not a lot of craziness that this deck has. You kind of take your choice. Now, a lot of these builds have gone down to one heavy Borger, which I don't necessarily hate, but like, in certain situations, man, it just feels like you want two of these to resolve that, I don't really feel like you're getting that luxury anymore. Going with 2 copies. This side decking the Dimensional Fissures, which I think has become a pretty big norm at this point. If your deck can survive through Dimensional Fissure and actually like establish and be able to kind of tear through whatever the opponent's trying to do, it's just got to hurt your opponent more than it hurts you, and guess what, you're probably going to do decently well. We're also side decking the 1 Chaotic Elements, which, I mean, we've seen how good that card can actually be, but in terms of like spicy tax, this list didn't really tickle my fancy for that. Now, Fiend Smith here by Francisco with the Yummy package. Now, surprisingly enough, the Yummy package has been evolving in very different ways. We've recently seen, taking out of our side of the game, where you're playing like the Tri-Brigade stuff, like more of that heavy payoff with monsters, which was kind of nice. I did appreciate that. But I mean, you can just maximize your Fiend Smith package and get to a Desiree and you have an end board piece. You have a monster that can effectively start negating through things, which is going to do just fine for an end board. And of course, Reproducus being one of those little helper cards. I mean, how many times do we have to see Reproducus trying to be one of these problematic cards? I mean, he does a good job at what he needs to do, but he's just a little bit of a funny guy. Also, shout out to the End of the Anubis and the Invader of Darkness. 2 very chaotic cards that were winning in very, very strange situations. Next up, we have Braulio's Malice pile, playing 43 cards. First of all, 43 is not a terrible number for Malice. You gotta remember, like, you kind of have to rely on the Bestials in this deck to kind of be extenders. Now, you don't have the free white binder, turn your brain off, be able to just dump everything out, build the big field anymore. No, Malice is a little bit more low to the ground, and you kind of got to make your concessions where you can go. I do see we are playing the Heat Soul now. Heat Soul being able to net you into some more card advantage, or at least try to equalize the playing field a little bit so that, you can kind of generate a little bit of a field, which is actually not too bad. I do appreciate what this card feels like it's trying to do. Obviously, March Hare, I think, is probably the most expensive Malice card that you've actually got going for you in the modern era times. Also going with 2 Dimensional Fissure down here. Once again, Dimensional Fissure was a fantastic little tech choice out of the block here, so I kind of appreciate that. Next up here, we have Andre's Branded pile. Now, this isn't going with the crazy, the Draco tail stuff. You were just going to slap in 2 Fallen of Whites, cut a Fallen of Albaz, or, we still have triple Fallen of Albaz. But the point is, like, we're adjusting these ratios to be able to play the deck a little bit more in line with what we're kind of expecting to be. A Courier off of the Gold Sark is still one of our favorite play lines to do. You're also playing the Spriggans kit, which, by the way, opens up some crazy doors for little end board pieces that you'll be able to work with. Also, we are playing the Archlord Christia. As much as we might not like having the Archlord be an established piece, being able to branded fusion it down and be able to kind of work with it proves how like stupid that this card can be in a lot of these situations. Just pick your lock. Like, as long as the tool that you want is going to be there to help, you can really get it to work. We have Renee's Draco Tail Adventure, playing 40 cards. The fact that they got the Sting in here too is pretty nice. Just going with the 2 copies of the Fallen and the Virtuous, which I think is a pretty big normal piece of this these days, right? Like, builds are like, we don't really want to throw 3 at this because it feels like a little bit of an inconsistency piece. Because as long as you see a Branded Fusion, you should be pivoting into this anyway. Like, you'll be establishing some sort of case where this will be up on the field. Going with the 1 Secretarian Dragon, the 1 Towers Monster. I feel like this list has everything that you kind of want it to have. You're just going to have to kind of, I can't even say you have to work for this, all right? Like, your end board's just going to be usually enough to do things. And I'll be honest, just a completely ignorant card for what this deck is able just to roll through. So, not surprised. Definitely a lot of good tools down here to handle things. Next up was, I think you pronounced that Hiram. This was their water list. There were a couple of different ways to approach water, and I think the first Penguin was one of the safest bets, because the minute we got this card, we lost the water barrier strategy. You traded an end board lock piece for consistency, and that's not a terrible thing. All right, it's just, if you're making these concessions, you got to understand, oh, hey, is the consistency worth it? And the answer is yes. Also, you still have to play the $1,000,000,000 Gradle Dragon, because the dragon, it does so much for this deck. You can blame the first Penguin for the interactions that this all comes into, but we've just also navigated to the Tetsu. Tetsu E-Rat, he's the new monster, man. His job is just to get job done, and job actually seems pretty strong for this. I like this. We also have Pablo's Yummy variant. And look, once again, I mean, this looks pretty similar to what we just saw, right? You're going with the triple engraver with the 1 Lacrima, so you can actually build the Desiree. So, I mean, you pivot into whichever inboard piece you want. I do see that this is essentially the same list. You've also got the End of the Anubis and the Invader of Darkness in here doing the job. That's fine. In terms of what your payoff is with this, keep in mind, Yummy has severe limitations now. Only having 1 link 1 means that you're going to have to kind of build up some different little game approaches to do things. But I don't think that it necessarily makes this deck bad. It's just, is this going to be the optimized version to be able to try to get the W? And I mean, I could see it. I can see that this is just going to be the right tool set for somebody who's going to be able to roll in and just do very, very strongly with this. So good job. Next up, we have Martin's Vanquish Soulless, playing 41 cards, by the way, which is fine. They're only playing 1 Noroi. I guess that's the payoff with this list, right? It's like, you don't have to go crazy and having to pick up Norois. You just kind of got to make your concessions with how you want to go with things. 1 Heavy Borger, 1 Kaiser Varius, which is pretty normal at this stage. We also have Rank Up Spell Goodness, Case of the Canine. We are not playing any Chaotic Elements, which is fine. We have the Shifter in the main deck. We are playing the Saruja. Saruja just guarantees we'll be able to get into things. We are playing the Ripper M, which does get into some hilarious options. And once again, we see our favorite card of the block here, Yield Dimensional Fissure here, which just kind of slaps through the banish pile and just kind of ruins the opponent's days, which is fine. And of course, having the Anti-Scam Fragrance as a rollout in this deck, very, 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 very broken, to say the least. But toolbox options are very important. Our last list here is branded by Alex, and yes, with Draco Tail. They are playing Lava Golem down here. The funny interaction, I mean, hand your opponent the Lava Golem, make Draco Tail Fusion, add Lava Golem back to hand, able to kind of rinse, wash, and repeat on the disassembly of the opponent's field. Things that you might not think about being important, but I can imagine that they can actually get you some places with the free wins, which is kind of interesting, actually. So what do you guys think about the breakdown for YCS Guadalajara? Definitely different, but the same. I know, it's such a BS answer, but please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back in there and dig out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.